All right, welcome everybody. It's in the bag. It's me, All Business Brad, but we have a special guest today, Jason. How's it going, Jason?
What's up, y'all? Welcome to be back on In the Bag. I definitely have been on it more than anybody else now. There's no
Yeah,
choice. There's no chance. I am the leading third member of the team. So
yeah. I think at this point we just call you the associate producer of In the Bag. I mean, that's really what it's become. So, no, happy to have you on. Robbie's having a very exciting week, so our thoughts and prayers go out to him. Very excited, but Jason's going to be tag teaming with me for a couple weeks while Robbie and new family, get to kind of relax and get into the routine of being a three-person unit, and we both know how that is. So, wish them all the best. But stuff's kind of like getting in the Christmas spirit around here at the warehouse. We've had our Christmas tree up the entire year, I think, right, Jason?
yeah, we never took it down.
And we have all of our lights on the aisles that we've never taken down.
Yeah,
but
never took them down.
at our Christmas party, which was a blast, Jason planned that, knocked it out of the park. It was a lot of fun. We had a new Christmas game, and we were all like a little hesitant about it, but ended up maybe being the best dirty Santa white elephant type hybrid game I've ever played. So it was a good time. We don't have a ton of stuff going on in the warehouse. I mean, we actually can take a breath, right? I mean, it's been kind of a crazy few weeks. We've obviously all the Black Friday stuff has gone out at this point. We've had all the Cyber Monday stuff out. We have the Gyropalooza boxes that dropped on Wednesday out as well. And we're just kind of wrapping up and get ready for the end of the year and just jump into the new year. So I'm just excited to kind of get back to a normal routine, Jason. I'm sure you are as well.
Yep, for sure. I think I finally, as of this morning, I'm totally caught up on Black Friday emails and customer service and resolving issues. I think all of the issues, or they will be resolved by this morning, to actually have everything closed for ongoing things. So that'll be good to finally get out and, like I say, get back to normal, a relative normal.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and we're definitely it's about time to implement a few other things we've been working on and talking about for a while. So I was working on a brand new phone system yesterday, and all kinds of fun stuff. But enough of the boring logistics. Let's talk about our guest today. I'm pretty excited because knowing this, looking at the bag of this guest, the spot I had you kind of throw today, I think it's kind of a pain point for you, right? Like it's not like a strong part of your bag, or it didn't used to be, at least.
Yeah,
Is that still the case?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I won't. It's 7502 is the disc you have me throw, and I don't throw any 7502, though I probably should. And every time and we'll talk about it in this episode, I probably should. So it was good to do it for sure. And the first few throws weren't that great, but I eventually got better out there.
Yeah, right. I know the phrase I hear from you often is, "I need to throw more overstable stuff."
Yeah,
is
for sure.
the phrase I hear you say you like. So, all right, well, we'll save that for the episode. Let's go ahead and invite our guest, Bill, in today. How's it going, Bill? Welcome to In the Bag. Glad to have you on. How you doing today?
Good, doing real good. A little early for me, 7:45 in Mountain Standard Time, but excited to be on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, you're Mountain Standard Time. You mind telling us what area you're from?
All around Colorado.
Colorado. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
That's great. Well,
Where do
thanks
you
for joining
live?
us so early.
Bill, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Where do you live right now, Bill?
I'm in Parker.
Okay. I was in Colorado Springs for 3 years. That's the only reason I asked that. And we have family in Fort Collins, and I loved Colorado. So because we lived on the east side of the town, because I was stationed there, loved our time there.
Oh yeah, I work at Buckley, so I go to Aurora, working Parker, all that.
Absolutely. I was stationed at Schriever. Lived on the east side of town, but stationed at Schriever for all 3 years. And small world. There you go.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, glad we can make some connection there. But hey, I mean, the guests want to hear it. We want to hear a little bit about you and your disc golf game. So let's start here. Tell us how long you've been playing disc golf, Bill.
So I started in 2009, 2010. My dad had an old blue DX Cobra that he had hanging up on the wall because the classic Cobra looked like the Shelby GT logo. He tried throwing it with his friends because we didn't know about disc golf, and they were hurting his hands. And then one of our cousins was like, "Hey, that's a disc golf disc." So he played around with my cousin, fell in love with it, got me a bunch of discs, and we started playing there. stopped playing once I started working just because of time. And then I was actually deployed to Virginia for 3 months, and I worked out and had nothing else to do. And I started watching, I found Foundation's videos. So I was like, you know what? I'll get back into it. And now I'm completely hooked again. So been playing since April again.
That's awesome, man. Well, that's great. I got to ask, I'm always curious. I don't get to ask this question very much. What was the first Foundation video you found that kind of got you hooked to watching?
It was one of the monthly battles that I saw. And then
Really?
I just got on the YouTube stream of the funny starter discs. Then I found Robbie and his lessons. Didn't know there was lessons for disc golf, so I started heavy into that with Robbie, Blitz, Drew Gibson. Like, I have the ADHD. Like, once I'm hooked, and I go full bore.
Oh yeah. I hear that. Awesome, man. Well, so you've been playing on and off for a while, but just really kind of getting back into it this year. So if we put a basket out in the field, controlled driving distance, how far are you throwing forehand and backhand on a controlled line?
Backhand, I got up to 325 to 350-ish. That's kind of where I'm at right now. After watching one of Robbie's videos, I see that I've been going down, so the disc air bounces. So I hit 400 once, so I'm trying to get back into that, but kind of hard with the cold out here. And then forehand is a little less, probably like 275.
Okay. No, I mean, in my opinion, it's so great forehand. It's a very usable forehand for most courses anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So we take you out on the putting green now, everyone's favorite part, right? We put 10 putts at 15, 10 putts at 25, 10 putts at 40. How many are you making at each station?
So I was prepared for this. I have a practice basket at home that I borrowed from my dad. And from 15, I got 8 out of 10. From 25, I got 7 out of 10. And then from 40, I got surprisingly 6 out of 10 because I was watching Robbie's spin putting videos, and that really helped me out. So I don't know if that was just a really good day because I haven't practiced and had my bad habits that time, or it was just a fluke, or Robbie's the best disc golf coach ever. Probably the latter. And I usually make like 2 out of 10 from 40. So I think it was just a good day.
Okay. Hey, that's fun. Let's sync that average to 6 at 40. I think you'll see your score improve quite a bit, right?
Right.
But yeah, I would say, that's great. No, I think there's a lot of advantage to a spin putter at that kind of distance. I know I'm definitely more of a push putter, so when it gets out that far, and I'm just kind of trying to like air dunk one in, so that spin is dangerous from that realm. I guess finally, what do you think is the biggest strength of your game right now, Bill?
Funnily enough, while I was in Virginia, I didn't even think about it, and I always played with the same buddy who's in the military too. And I was scrambling a lot just because I was getting back into it, and we ended up going to New London, and it was just every other shot I was in the woods, and he's like, "Oh, I don't have to worry about you in there because I know you're going to get back to the fairway." And I didn't even think about it. Just throwing those scramble shots, getting out of the rough and back into it, I think is the best. Which is funny because me living in Colorado, it's a lot of just open courses.
Right. Yeah. Well, good. That's awesome. I mean, that's just a great tool. If you can scramble, you can save yourself a lot. And like you said, it kind of transfers to any type of course, right? So that's awesome. Okay. Well, great. Glad we got to know you. I mean, realistically, let's dive into your bag here. I was telling Jason at the top of the episode, the specific area I picked of your bag today, like there's 2 giant chasms for, people watching or want to click on the link, I mean, you can see it. There's two giant holes toward the middle and lower end of your bag. The one I actually picked is kind of a pain point for Jason, or a spot, at least he says he needs to like have more discs there, or more shots there. So kind of gave Jason a little like, maybe hopefully a little confidence. We'll see how it went. He didn't spoil it for me yet, but hopefully that'll help him there as well. So, and I think, distance wise, you're very similar to Jason as far as backhand and forehand too. So I think this is going to be a interesting episode. There's a couple discs that Jason loves that you bag as well. So I think you all can relate a lot. So this is going to be a good field test as well. But today we're going to actually just start at the bottom of your bag, and we're kind of going to work our way up. There's not a whole lot of surprises at the bottom of the bag. I actually I feel like nines, I don't know how you feel, Jason. I feel like I could take Bill's bag out today onto a course and probably shoot pretty well. How do you feel, Jason?
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking. I mean, I have a Zone OS. I can throw the Get Freaky. I've carried the Envy before. I never threw Fierces, but I putted with them. So looking at, of course, I have Craves, and I like Underworlds, and I like Passions. So yeah, the Valk was an all-time favorite of mine. So I agree. And the Raptor for my overstable disc is definitely that. Now, I don't throw any high-speed stuff. So, but from the low-speed stuff and down, I could grab that bag, as you said, and play just fine.
Yeah. So I'm going to make one assumption. Well, I won't make an assumption until we get up to the drivers. But again, low speed stuff. So tell us, I always like to ask, what are you putting with, and why is that your putting putter?
I'm putting with the Fierces right now. I have a ton of them for practice from Facebook Marketplace and stuff like that. I started out with a lot of Innova when back in 09, 10, those were like the main things. Went to Dick's a lot and just got, that's where I got my first Valkyrie. I started out with Sharks, Shark Wolf, and the ABRs. And so we went to play it again, and I got full bore into it, like I said. So I was watching all the Paul Macbeth. From there, I found Paige Pierce, loved her distance and stuff from just watching her and seeing personalities. So I saw the Fierces, found the blue stamped, the Paige Pierce one in the corner, thought it was super clean, and just tried it. And then I saw the Tour Series stuff. So for like a week, I was just putting with the Zone OS because getting back into it, I didn't know better. And I was like, this is just falling out of the sky. I need something else.
Yeah, that seems painful to me. I mean, same way. I know some people that'll just putt with drivers too. It's just painful to watch. But so you have, it looks like a Big Z, right? That Ledgestone blue one you're referring to with the line stamp. I actually have a couple there. My son used to putt with those ones as well. And then is the other one base plastic you're putting with?
Yeah, it's the ESP. That one's the ESP Swirl.
Oh, ESP Swirl. Okay, so you're a premium guy.
Yeah.
So what makes you want to throw a premium plastic versus like a baseline tackier plastic putting?
I have calloused hands, so I feel like the grippier stuff just always hooks on and flies left for me because I'm a left-hander. Whenever I throw, it just usually hooks on. So I like the more slick feel. And when I do hit trees, I usually just go full bore with all of my shots. So I don't like the base putters because it chips way too easily for me.
I hear that. Okay, that's good. Yeah, we say it all the time on the podcast, but putting is such a preference-based decision as far as like how you putt, what you putt with, what plastic you putt with. It's all pretty subjective. So I always like to just kind of ask. You do have people that like premium putters. You have people that only. I mean, I will not putt with a premium putter. I need base plastic, but I like the grip. That's great. So let's go over. I mean, really, we have a lot of overstable stuff for putt and approach, and even getting up into like the few mid ranges that you have. Yeah. Are you throwing your Fierces as well for like an understable, like left to right turning shot? Or right for you, it's right to left. Sorry, you're lefty. Got to speak lefty.
I can inverse it. I've been dealing with that all my life, so I know what you're saying. I actually just throw the Ledgestone one as my throwing putter, and the other ESP one is strictly my putting putter.
Okay, that makes more sense. Is it still pretty unstable for you?
Yeah, it has a little turn. It'll still at least go flat and plop down by the end of it, so it doesn't really have the bite to come back, just because it's a fierce. The Z or the big Z, I forget what that one's in. It keeps it so at least where it just lands. So especially on like a hill or something, I don't have to worry about it rolling away.
Gotcha. Yeah, and then I mean, really, throwing. Do you forehand and backhand your zone in Zone OS?
I do.
Okay, so that covers some area there, but really, you just have your Rebirth Envy, which I will say mine that I love is pretty straight and then gets overstable as like the rotation slows down. How's that fly for you?
So I bought it and it's been in my bag. We had a super bad winter storm not too long ago, so I haven't had a chance to throw it yet. Um, so between that and I think the Raider, I haven't really thrown those too much. I bought them and I'm just addicted to it. Been watching YouTube and if that disc looks nice, let me get it. So
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
ton of
we've all been.
stuff.
I mean, yeah, yeah. Trust me, it doesn't get easier. I don't think. I know Jason and I often say we don't need to buy more discs. We got to get rid of discs before we buy more discs. So that's a pretty common thing. So Jason, looking at the graph, what do you think about his Envy Zone, Zone OS, Buzz OS like combo over there? And really looking at the graph, we only have a Buzz and a Fierce to cover like straight to understable. What are your thoughts on that, Jason?
Yeah, that was when I looked at it. That was my first thought was that would be. I don't. You know, it's almost the reverse of me because I don't carry a lot of obviously stable mids. Though I've started adding more in there for sure, but like most of my mids are straight to under. And I look at bills and the Rolo is listed that way. I mean, granted, we know a Rolo is a very unique disc and it's definitely an understable disc, but it's missing what I would say is that understable. I agree, he's a lefty, but still that understable. The understable kind of throw straight to understable like your Hex. Well, because I don't throw the Buzz either, so the Buzz is that straight disc. Obviously, from looking at his stuff, and I've never thrown an Axis at all, so I don't know anything about. Even I know it's MVP, right? I don't know anything about an Axis.
Yeah, so those the Rolo I haven't thrown yet because that was in the mystery boxes. And then the Axis is strictly a collector's disc because my dad got it with that the zombie print, and it had. I looked on the back just the other day, and it was a patent pending one, so that one will not get thrown. So those are all like my collection discs and stuff. I have a ton of different categories because I just OCD like that. My main bag is pretty much all I have for throwing, and I regret it because as I was trying to get more discs in, I had this pumpkin Atlas that I threw that was like super. You throw it on a line and it stays there, and I'm just trying to find one of those back to put in my bag because I miss that thing.
I hear you. So I think you said something interesting earlier, which is kind of making a lot more sense on a few of, well, actually several of the discs that I see, but you said that you just throw even your putters, everything full bore, I think is the exact word that you used. So is that why you're not carrying a lot of understable stuff in your putt approach mid-range kind of category?
Yeah, I think I throw flat, but probably a little Hyzer. So like my Sphinx and my Ozone, when I get in on those things, it hooks left for me and it goes back to flat. I definitely should be having some more understable stuff just because I'm in Colorado. So even my Ozone and my Sphinx don't bite as much as I've seen they do, but I'm in that altitude of like 5,300 feet. So everything's a lot more overstable.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense as well. So, because I kind of almost feel the season of disc golf, if you will, that you're in right now, which was very similar to what I had. And I think I've talked about it multiple times now on the podcast, but there was a phase where I bought a ton of like drivers, distance, control, fairway, doesn't matter. They're all cool. I want to throw all of them. I buy a bunch of them. My bag's mostly drivers, and I only have like my putting putters, like an approach disc, maybe one of the throwing putter, and I really just had a Buzz only was like my only mid range for a while. So I kind of feel like you're in that like that spot where especially like looking at the timeline, April's kind of when you were starting and then are really getting back into it. And now we're in December. So I think you're kind of right in there where you're figuring out your form, you're starting to throw, you want to throw further. So you're like throwing a bunch of drivers and stuff in, and then you're like kind of light on the bottom end of your bag. Because honestly, the big area, there are two big areas. The first big one that I saw was that like understable, really putt, approach, mid. It didn't matter. Like all of that is kind of open right there, especially with you being in elevation. What is really understable for me, like a detour is not super understable. But that could be like pretty straight for you, and an uplink's pretty understable. That could be like more of like a detour for you. Like, I think a disc like that might come in a lot of handy. Just again, teaching you maybe some like finesse or like some touch. I think that's a good first step there. Now that you're maybe not right this second, but as soon as you get like I want to throw everything as hard as I can out of your system, because that phase lasts a while. And I mean, sometimes depends on the round we're having, right, Jason? Like sometimes that comes back. It's just like you just want to just chuck stuff as hard as you can. But although we didn't throw or make a recommendation for that side of your bag right now, I would recommend like looking into that just to kind of like round out your like really like short game. That short game, once I started focusing on that, I noticed like my score is getting so much better because I was like thinking about touch and I had more options, right? It wasn't like, all right, well, I'm 200 foot out. I guess I'm going to throw a zone. It's like, oh, well, maybe I'll throw like my Envy that's a little straighter, or at the time I had an inner core, you know what I mean? Throwing something like that, that's like a little bit more straight and touchy. A shot that Jason's really good at with his Wizard and Berg, really. I mean, Jason, if you want to speak to that at all, but I think that, Jason, that's a spot of your game I've seen really improve this year specifically.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head when I first started too. Is just I wanted to throw a lot of stuff because people want to throw really far and hard, and it's over the last 2 years I've changed it down to I throw very few drivers, and because I don't throw very far either, so I know my game, so I throw 8 speeds and below, and a bunch of mids and a bunch of putt approach. The Wizard to me is a mid, even though I know it's a low speed. To me, that's a mid all the way, and an approach as well as the Bird. But yeah, I've gotten very comfortable with I can power down for a 120-foot shot or power up for a 250-foot shot on both of those discs if it's open enough, and be very comfortable and stand still on those as well. So that's one of the things that I'm happy that I've focused on, that knowing I'm not going to outdrive anybody. But now that I've gotten that down, I've talked to Robbie, and we're going to try to get me consistently to 350 next year is one of our goals for next year. Okay. And so if I get to consistently at 350 for me and then stay good at 250, then I'm good to go.
Now for the Wizard, because I got one of those, I think in the diamond plastic in the mystery box, I got the Heck Yeah one. Are those pretty
nice? Yeah,
I love it. The look of it's amazing. Are those pretty understable? Because I haven't thrown that one yet either.
I honestly haven't thrown a diamond Wizard. Jason, I don't think you have either.
I haven't. All the Wizards I've thrown are either Lunar or the Super Silly Soft or the Birdie Blend. Okay. And so I would think that would be, to me, for the Wizard, even my super soft ones, if I put on an Hyzer, it's not coming back. If I put on a Hyzer, depending on how hard I throw it, it'll ride it. And if I throw it straight, flat, it stays pretty straight.
Okay.
My guess is it won't be. My guess is if anything's a little stable, but not like wildly stable for a Wizard. But it'll probably. My experience is it typically holds its line on what you're throwing it on.
Okay, I might try that instead of my looking for the Atlas then, because I was interested in throwing that.
Yeah, I think typically their diamond plastic is a little stable out the gate, but it beats in pretty nice. I would imagine, just looking at your discs here, like it would be a nice complement to both your Fierce and your Envy to be like kind of right in the middle of both of those. Where like to Jason's point, where if you need something that like kind of goes straight and maybe just fades a little bit and not super hard, versus like your Envy. Depending on the Envy, I've heard both of those Envies are both very overstable, and there's some of them that are pretty straight. I think I got one that was more straight to stable, realistically. So the Wizard, I think, is going to be nice, like right in between. Think of it maybe like a shorter buzz for you. Does your buzz have some finish, or is it pretty straight?
For the most part, I think I beat it in enough because I bought that when I was in Virginia as well. So I've had that for 6 months now. And it's pretty straight. I actually, we went for the military. We went to Italy for our annual training, and they had a course on the base, which was amazing. I took a
Awesome.
beast, that buzz, and one of my throwing fierces, but because of the way difference in elevation, I was almost sea level. I had to hyzer flip everything, and I tried that was part of my issue, was just throwing it full bore. Some of my other buddies I got into disc golf gave them my buzz, and one of the other ones my beast. And I was trying to hyzer flip my fierce, but I would just, no matter what, how often I would, or how steep the angle, excuse me, it would just like cook over, and then I got like one good shot because I was just frustrated, and I just flung it, and it was like that was the flight that I needed.
I hear that. Yeah. So I would say the Wizard's probably going to fly like a buzz like off the shelf, like, because
Okay.
I think I think everyone thinks a buzz is what, the pros buzzes are. They're like laser beam straight, and they just don't come off the shelf that way.
Yeah.
They're, especially like a Z buzz or a big Z buzz, they're going to be like more straight to like have a stable finish. And I think that's what the Wizard's going to be for you. So I think it'll be a nice compliment to start rounding out that like bottom end of your bag and like your different approach shots and maybe some touch finesse.
Yeah.
So yeah, I encourage you to definitely try that out. It's not going to fill that like understable side of things. I would just also encourage you to figure out maybe find a mid that you like that feels good in your hand that's like kind of understable. That would be like my next. I mean, there's so many good ones out there. I mean, I think Detour is probably going to be. I don't know if it's going to be exactly, but Detour Uplink, definitely Uplink. Try that. It's so fun. That just taught me so much about my throw. Good and the bad and the ugly, right? So that I would recommend to grab one of those and try about. So
Yeah,
I don't
for
want to
sure.
spend the whole time on the bottom end. Let's jump up to the top. There's a lot going on up here. We'll start at the very top at your Raider and go down. I know the Raider you said you just put in the bag, so that's fine. I just want to know why you put it in the bag, even if you haven't thrown it. What's your thought process? Why'd you stick it in? Because you have Raider, Emperor, really Destroyer up there as well, and Wraith. So
Yeah,
what's your thought on the Raider?
there's a bunch of drivers that I just bought because they looked cool, and I'm just trying them out. The Raider was one of them. For the Emperor, I just wanted to support Bonanza, so that's why that Raider's in there, or the Emperor. And then a couple of the destroyers, I have a Pro Destroyer that I have that I dyed when I first got into disc dyeing. Actually, that was the first Foundation video I saw, was the Weekly Warehouse with the subscription box, that the dyeing. So
Really?
yeah, that's the
Random.
one. I was like, all right, so I want to start buying discs. I want to dye discs now. And so it was just that tumble effect. But I have a white Pro Destroyer that flips beautifully, even up at elevation. But it's starting to get chewed up just because of that Pro plastic. So I took that out of the bag and put a new Destroyer in, which I was starting to work in. So I definitely need to work on that spot and just pick one, because I definitely know I like being driver heavy just because I love the way they fly when I can hit it right, but I know I need to get my form right first. So I definitely need to take some of that stuff, especially the like 12s and higher, out of my bag and work on my form for a while.
Yeah, and it's always fun, and I think it's just how you have to think about them. Like, I mean, you can always use like that Raider. That's really, I mean, it's a 13 speed. I don't think any of us on this call are having any business throwing a 13 speed right now, just based on where we're at in our game. That's fine. However, I will say that you can use that speed versus your lack of speed to your advantage if you do something very overstable, right?
Yeah.
So that's like where they can come into play. So, and again, we say it all the time. If you like it and it's fun and it's good, keep it in your bag. I mean, who cares? This is supposed to be fun. So, I think if you're trying to, that's really your goal. Are you trying to score better? Are you trying to get better? Then you probably need to whittle things down and really have like kind of one or two choices to really focus on if you want to get better and develop. If you're just out there to have fun, have a good time, just chuck some discs, put whatever you want in there, because it doesn't matter. So it's fun, right?
Yeah, my go-to
but-
drivers for usually driving off the tee is going to be that drive, the Wraith for when I need it super overstable, and then the Thrasher because it'll turn a little bit and then have that fade at the end. So if I need that nice S flight. Honestly, my go-tos that I throw 90% of my tee shots is that dyed brand new beast that I have.
Okay.
Because that orange beast that you see way off in the -4 space, that was
Yeah.
one of the beasts that I had when I first started. And I don't know how I didn't lose that thing. I think I lost it twice, and it came back to me both times. I tried throwing that thing, and even like just a little baby like flick of the wrist, it just completely just rollered on me. So it's the beast is in there for that beast is still in my bag for nostalgia and for just the straight up roller shots if I ever need them.
Mm-hmm. We all have to have a disc in our bag for the memes, right? That's what
Yeah.
that disc is for. I don't want to skip over the top end drivers too much. I just want to I want to ask you specifically. I think the drive. I've only thrown the drive a handful of times, and it's like I think a really solid disc. I think it's a really good complement to the Thrasher and the Discraft lineup. So I
Mhm.
was just curious, how does the drive fly for you? I guess at elevation, and also how does it fly compared to the Thrasher?
So the drive has a little bit less turn, so it'll still coast to the left, but it has more bite, I would say, or just about as much bite as the Thrasher. So the Thrasher, when I get it up to speed, it'll stay left for a longer time before it fades back. The drive is more straight, but a little bit of turn.
Okay, that makes sense. How are you liking that new plastic on the Thrasher, the ESP, or sorry, the Z Jawbreaker Flex?
I really like it. I had another Thrasher that I got rid of, and I'm looking for another one just because it is a little more gummy than I'm used to. I don't mind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not what I was looking for. I bought the Thrasher. I have another Passion. That's the Z Flex, and then I have that Zone OS that I all bought when I was in Virginia because the stamps look cool and wanted to support the
Mm-hmm.
players. But those will go in the collection as I slowly rotate those out.
Yeah, I hear that. And then, okay, so let's talk about your beast then. So, is your beast your max distance disc right now, or what are you pulling out if you got to throw max distance controlled shot?
If I'm pulling max distance out, I'm doing the drive because that's what I got the 400 plus with.
Mm.
And the drive is super straight with that little bit of turn, so I get that good extra distance out of it. The beast
Mm-hmm.
is though that star one that I dyed is completely straight, and then it has a little more hookup than a beast usually would. I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
So that's more of the controlled I need to get right, or I'll forehand all of these discs. I don't really have a preference. So when I hit those right, it'll have a little bit of turn because I have my release is a little
Mm-hmm.
Hyzer.
Yeah.
So it'll do a little baby S line before it fades to the left for my forehand.
Okay. Yeah, I really just think that, let's just say 11 speed and above right now seems like you're in like a discovery phase, right? You're kind of just figuring
Yeah.
out what you like, what's the best line for you, how are these things going to fly. Do I need to manipulate the disc? Do I need to find a different disc? So we'll just kind of leave that at that, right? I don't really have any thoughts there other than just, if you're trying to improve your score and your form, maybe figure out what you like and just kind of stick with something for a while so you can kind of really develop. And if not, keep chucking them and have fun.
Oh yeah.
But it seems like once we get to this 10 speed and below, 10 speed to your 8 speeds, it's really like methodically put in there. So I want to spend a little bit more time on those. Jason, what do you think? Looking at we heard about the beast, right? But we're looking at now. I'm also thinking about elevation now too. So we have Captain's Raptor, Valkyrie, one of Jason's favorite discs, Sphinx, Passion, Ozone. What are your initial thoughts on that, Jason?
Yeah, what's doing a little bit of the spoiler. Like those, well, for starters, those are all great discs, like you already referenced. I don't have a Valk in the bag, but mine comes and goes. My
Yeah.
DX Valks are super understable, especially as I beat them in. My Star Valk stays pretty stable, and I had one that I was actually beating in a straight, and I left it at a course and never got it back. So I need to start working on that. But they kind of come and go for me. I could always have a Valk and be happy with it, and if it's
Yeah.
not, it's all right. Passion is very similar. Like I could go with a Passion and not with a Passion and be happy with it. The Ozone, I've only thrown Robbie's once in a field and it was great, but I've yet to actually put that in my bag. But I know I like those ones. I don't know anything about a Sphinx, but 9.6 -3, of course, sounds amazing. But of course, the biggest thing we're missing there is a little bit of stability, which is my own. Now, I jumped over the Raptors. The Raptor was the first disc that the guys recommended for me when I was on In the Bag. I have a Captain's Raptor that stays in my bag all the time now, so I always have a Captain's Raptor in there, and I have a Raptor that pops in and out. So do you do – let me ask you this. I only use my Raptor pretty much predominantly forehand. Do you do – and I know you're lefty, but you do predominantly forehand or backhand or a bit of both for your Raptor?
I'll do both. The Captain Raptor, I will do more just backhand, unless I really need to like cut through something and just have it fade immediately. For a forehand with the cap wrap, I can usually get 150, maybe 200 if I hit it right. So that's more utility. I can get a little more distance with it backhand, because I'll get over on it, do a little Hyzer, and it'll push for 225, 250 maybe. So that's more of a utility shot. There's at my home course, there's one that's a par 4 with like a telephone wire that's Mando left. That's like right in that weird zone of if I throw everything, I'll usually end up in the field past, and then I have to scramble out to get it. So I'll use the Captain Raptor to throw it out, and then it'll crash into where I'm still in the fairway because it's a dog leg right pretty much immediately.
Yeah.
I imagine the Captain's Raptor and Raptor, thinking of elevation, are like even more overstable than we're experiencing over here. I can only imagine what the Captain's Raptor does at 5,000 feet. So.
Yeah, the cap wrap definitely just tombs every time. If I throw it at all any high, it'll just dig into the dirt and just stay there. No ground action. If I want the ground action, I have to go with the Raptor to where it'll actually get a good skip. And then between the Wraith, the Valkyrie, and then that old beast, those are all been in my bag since I started playing. So the Wraith is pretty straight. The Valkyrie's been in my bag, like I said, for that long, and it's it actually probably is my farthest flying one. I have a DX misprint Valkyrie with a leopard stamp over it that me and my dad had our practice basket out about 250, and I got an ace with that. So that's awesome. That's the only reason I remember when I started playing, because I was like, I was a teenager. Oh, I'm 30 now. Oh. But I think the Sphinx, if I remember right, is a Roadrunner top with a Sidewinder bottom, or vice versa.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes sense.
It's pretty understable, but it fights out of it a little bit.
So what we'll typically see is we'll see people that like, I tend to come into this category. I like 5 speeds, 7 speeds, 9 speeds, 11 speeds. Like those are the speeds that I like. Or we'll see people like 10, 8, 10, 12, you know what I mean? They typically jump a speed. You're kind of, and I don't know if you're more of in a discovery phase with this, but it seems pretty methodical how you have the Valkyrie is a 9 speed, the Passion's an 8 speed. They're pretty much identical discs minus the speed, right? I mean, glide a little bit. Let's just call them the same type of disc, right?
Yeah.
And then, you have the Sphinx, and then you have the Ozone. They are identical flight numbers wise, but 9 speed versus 8 speed. And then we go down to the Crave, which is the 7 speed version of the Passion or the Valkyrie, basically. So are you finding yourself having any confusion there? Are you like stepping up to the tee and like, I don't know if this is a Sphinx or an Ozone shot, or I'm not sure if this is a Crave or a Passion shot? Do you find yourself doing that often?
Right now it's just kind of whatever I'm feeling good with. Cause the Crave and the Passion feel a lot different, cause the Crave is more that like driver rim, where the Passion is almost like it kind of feels more of a mid-range with the more flat and then, concave rim. So it's whatever I'm feeling good with. If I need to get over left with my turns, I'll bring the Ozone out. And then the Sphinx is more for that driver. I need to try and get as far as I can. So I'll use the Ozone kind of for utility shots where I know I need to get left. And then the Passion or the Crave is whatever the flavor of the day I'm feeling. So I don't have too much confusion there, because there's, as of right now anyway.
Yeah. How much difference in distance is there between like your Crave and your Passion, your Valkyrie, or is there any difference?
If it depends on how I hit them. If I hit them right, I think the Valkyrie goes 20, 30 feet farther, but between the Crave
Hmm.
and the Passion, it's just about how it flies more. Those are pretty similar.
Hmm. Okay. And then Ozone and Sphinx. You said it sounds like the Sphinx gets more distance than the Ozone for you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. Um, so, any thoughts on that, Jason? Any questions for him before we jump over to the recommendation side?
No, it's to me, it's always an interesting thing. Now, like that's how we're all different in disc golfers, and so Bill said he felt like even though the Passion's at 8 speed, he doesn't really think of it as a driving disc because the way the rim
Hmm.
feels. Whereas to me, I'm like that's now. Granted, I don't throw anything really hard, and so fast discs I don't throw hard. If that makes sense. Whereas I know mid ranges are kind of that thicker range, so you feel like you got to chuck them a little bit. So for me, when I feel the
Hmm.
Passion, it's obviously a driver to me. But conversely, the Crave, even though it's only a 7 speed, is like a mid range to me. So I'm always
Hmm.
fascinated about how we think about those things because for me, my Passion and Crave are two very different distances. I can get good distance on the Passion, but the Crave, no matter how much I've tried with different plastics, it doesn't come close to the distance. Whether that's a psychological thing or whatever, I don't know. And I even look at my Crave as a mid, even though it's a 7 speed. So I love hearing and talking about those things and thinking about how we conceptualize these things different for what works for us.
Hmm.
And it's just always fun to hear those things.
Yeah, and I think the Passion just feels completely terrible and shouldn't even be a disc. So that's just how I feel about that. So yeah, no. Anyway, yeah, that's a great point, Jason. So um, I guess terrible transition over to our recommendations today. But
Yeah.
what's fun about the recommendation, and one of the discs I had Jason throw is like I'm not like I've only been playing for a handful of years. Someone like a Hunter or Trevor who've been playing for a long time. Um, they compare discs to certain. It seems like end of a discs most of the time. Like, oh, that's kind of like that's basically a Thunderbird. Oh, that's basically a Firebird. Oh, that's basically one we hear a lot, Teebird. So I had Jason throw a Teebird today, just because I want to really focus on like this gap that I see in your bag, which is that like not super overstable, but just slightly reliably overstable 7 speed area. Because really, I mean, you have your Buzz OS for that like kind of. I would not call a Buzz OS super overstable. It's definitely overstable, but not super overstable. Maybe at elevation it kind of is, but it's not and it's not unusable, right? It's not like Zone OS is very overstable. Captain's Raptor is very overstable. So, but you don't really have anything in that like anywhere from 6 to, I mean, really 5 and 9 is the closest thing you have to that, like your Buzz OS or your regular Raptor. You don't really have a slower version of that.
Yeah.
The reason I like that type of disc, and I've really kind of leaned into it, it's something I'm always trying to find a sweet spot because I think it's such an important shot and disc type to have in your bag. I mean, Teebird is one of those which I had Jason throw. You have the Instinct, which I had Jason throw. I mean, but you have the Athena, you have the Cookie, you have the FD1 is very close to that. You have the Alpha from Mint. It's an 8-speed version of that. I mean, almost every manufacturer tries to have that T-Bird-esque disc, which is a phrase I'm copying from, I've heard Hunter and Trevor say 1,000 times. So I do think that is a very important disc to have. I think Eagle is kind of in that category. It's a little more overstable, but that disc, because I think as someone who's like a fairly new player that has distance or starting to get distance, I think it's a disc that you can still get a lot of distance with, but you're not going to turn it over when you don't want to turn it over. You can actually start to mess a little bit with releasing on purpose a little bit of ante to like force a little bit of turn to get some more distance and then still have an overstable finish. I think it's a fun disc. You can throw pushing Hyzers with it if you throw hard enough, which sounds like, Bill, that's going to be great for you because you love to throw stuff hard, right?
Yep.
But it's not going to dunk out on you super early. They're readily available. They're available in a lot of different plastics. I think there's a lot of advantages to that type of disc. Vader was one, which I forgot to mention earlier as like that 7502 type of disc, right?
Yeah.
So Jason threw the T-Bird and the Instinct today. Jason, let's talk about them. How did it go?
Yep, absolutely. So I have they were both sitting behind me the whole time. For those who didn't pay attention, for those who are watching on YouTube. Full disclosure, I have to be transparent about this. I came in with an inherent bias. Even though I have a Valkyrie come and go from my bag, that's more an emotional attachment than anything else. I am not an Innova guy at all. Only reason I throw the pig is because of Robbie, right? I never would have tried the pig, and the pig comes and goes. I love the pig, but if I don't have it in the bag for a year, other than throwing Robbie's disc, I don't miss the pig, right? So I am not an Innova guy, and in general, I don't. When I feel Innova disc is so that came in with that bias. I'll go ahead and tell you that. I am glad that Brad talked about the guys referencing Teebird like disc, because I didn't even think about that when I was throwing the Teebird. But after having throw it, I can kind of see why that is. I don't throw hard and I don't throw far. But that shapes how I'm going to talk about this today. And it also was really cold this morning. That's another thing. Like, it was very cold. I got the hand warmers this morning. So it took me a while for my hands to warm up to grip this better. But what is interesting, but I also came in with a bias that I really like Discmania disc. And looking through your list, I see you have a DD and a PD they're new to the bag, or you haven't thrown a lot. So have you thrown? I didn't see any other really Discmania stuff in your bag. Have you thrown anything other Discmania, Bill? I don't see anything
I
else.
believe the only Discmania that I had that I got rid of that I again wish I wouldn't have was it was a SD or a CD, I think, when they called it a Rush. That was back when they're still Innova made mold. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I threw that, and I enjoyed it. I didn't have any issue with it. And then I just got this Lone Hell 1 or Last Hell, because of another in the bag from Robbie was mentioning it, and I saw it from when I went to my local disc shop looking for. My son follows me. He's almost 3 now, so he throws my discs. So I was getting him one of the Dyno discs, and I saw that, and I was like, "Ooh!" I heard Robbie say, "I need to try this disc," just because he loves the way it looks. And then my local shop is actually pretty sneaky with what they got, because they still have Proto Glow Gorgons too. So
Okay. Cool.
There's a lot of money that I shouldn't be spending over there that I'm not.
That's all of us for sure. So I say all that to say, looking at your list, my bias against Innova isn't going to affect you, because you clearly throw a lot of Innova. So you're comfortable with the way Innova feels. My first couple of throws were not great with the Teebird, but I think that was more the cold and whatnot. So I throw best. I don't Hyzer flip, so I'll say that. That's also why I need some more stable discs, because if I throw on Hyzer, a super stable disc is going to go left. But since I throw relatively flat, I need more stable discs to help with those S lines, with those throws. Yep. And the Teebird I threw, the camera may not show it. It definitely is a little more domey than the Instinct, and that's kind of my experience. Not like wildly domey compared to the Instinct, but when you feel it, you can feel a little bit of the dome. Both of these. When I first threw the Instinct flat, like I said, I'm a flat thrower. It was laser straight, turned right, and had that kind of consistent finish. And then when I threw the Teebird, it went much straighter than I thought and finished quicker than I was ready for. Now, that was my first throw. The more and more I threw them, the more it was comfortable with, okay, if I'm throwing it on flat, I could get it throwing straight. And now when I hear you're a hard thrower, because both of those to me went laser straight, with the Instinct having a little bit less finish, if that makes sense, right? Not the Teebird I expected this to be more of a meat hook for me, even though it's an 02, because my experience with Innova Champion plastic is more stable for me, and I was pleasantly surprised it wasn't as stable as I thought it would be. Meaning that someone who Hyzer flips this or throws it a little on Hyzer is a great disc for that very thing. The reason why the guys like it so much, as a hardcore flat thrower, or even sometimes Hyzer thrower, I got to figure out the disc. Neither of them, when I threw it on a little bit of Annie, so I tried a little bit of Annie, it went a little bit right, but then kind of went straight and then finished consistently to the left for sure. I threw it in wind. I threw it against the wind. My on hole, Brad will know this one, and those who've watched Timbrook, hole 13, which is the long hole out there. It's like 340 something maybe. I threw the Instinct like 310 feet, which I was pleasantly surprised with, and I threw the Teebird about 280, but I threw a little nose up and the wind caught it. But the Instinct definitely helped ride the wind all the way down there until I was in a long putt long putt example. For me, the plastics of the Neo, and that's where my bias kind of comes in. People love Champion. I'm just not a Champion fan. It just never feels good in my hand. Brad would say we've had a run of some Champion in the warehouse lately that feels a lot different and pretty great. This feels like traditional Champion, which is not bad. It's just not my kind of Champion, right? It is what it is. Whereas I've always loved Neoplastic because it's softer. It's a little softer, if that makes any sense at all. And even this morning in the cold weather, the Neo was a little bit more grip that I could hold on to that disc for when I was throwing it. And then on forehand, so my 7502 in my bag is the Cookie from Clash Disc. I love the Cookie. It's once it went in, it stayed in. It easily fit what I needed to do, mostly forehand, but also some backhand as well, because my Crave, my other 7-speed, sometimes is, if I throw on Hyzer, it doesn't Hyzer flip that's stable enough for me because I don't Hyzer flip things. So when I was doing backhand, the more and more I threw it, the more I got comfortable. I could definitely throw this thing laser straight. You could maybe throw it with a little bit of turn, but with a little bit of finish if you're trying to do that for a little S-line. On the forehand, it was, and this, my Cookie and Crave do this for me as well, it was a little... If I threw it a little too flat, it burned over very fast. Even for me, I had struggled that with my Cookie. But once I started getting it a little more Hyzer, because I know I have to throw Hyzer on discs like that are going to burn over, it flipped really fast to straight, and then a very consistent finish. Like, it was not going to burn over for me if I kept it on a good Hyzer forehand. Because I was throwing it back and forth between the holes over there, and it would easily just flip up to dead straight for me and then pop right back down knowing it was going to go down. So that's a very quick summarization of that, mostly saying that I was pleasantly surprised because when I saw O2, I always thought, oh, wow, this is going to be even beefier for me. But when I caught it right for me throwing flat, the thing went dead straight. And then a consistent finish, whereas for me, if I'd thrown Hyzer, I probably could have had it push a little bit. That's what really the 310 shot I did on hole 13 was a pushing Hyzer that just rode the hill all the way down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Bill, after hearing that review, I mean, are you leaning toward one or the other? Have you had experience with either of them?
I haven't had experience with either one of those. I know a lot of people talk about the Eagle, the Thunderbird, and the Teebirds and stuff like that. Excuse me. I would say Champion Plastic isn't really my jam with Innova either. I have a lot of Star stuff. I do have some Champ stuff that I have that doesn't really come out. I know they're supposed to be more overstable, but sometimes I just can't get a good grip on it, like you were saying, just with how slick it is. So I stick more to the Star Plastic with Innova.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
I'd be more than happy to try the Instinct.
Yeah, I think the Instinct's a great disc. It's one that I always pick up, and I'm like, man, I should throw this. You know, I'm kind of locked into the FD ecosystem right now, so that's where and really the E-Dug is what I throw for that slot. It has a little more turn, a little more fade, but I like that slot a lot. And Jason, to your point, I think that it's just such a versatile disc to have in your bag. You might even be able to wean off the Crave even, or the Passion, or both of them, and that might fill that kind of whole area there for you. And maybe again, and you maybe could bag a couple of them, right? You can beat in one. And I think the important thing to notice, and Jason, I don't know if you noticed this, but I picked both of them that are a little lighter as well. They're both like 169 or 168. So that little bit of combination of a little less weight, a little bit more stability, kind of I think helps in a lot of cases too. And I think at elevation, it's going to be the Instinct, Jason, where you said it's a little easier to turn. I think will make it a little bit more solid stability wise for you at elevation too. So we're happy to send the Instinct out to you. I think it's going to be a great addition to your bag. After you get it, you willing to come back on and talk to us a little bit about how it flew for you, if you liked it or you hated it?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back on.
Awesome, Bill. Hey, man, well, we appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, sure. Perfect. Thanks.
See you, man. All right, another one down. Hey, I think that went pretty well. We're doing all right hosting this thing without Robbie. He's very missed, but I think we're doing okay. No, very fun. Like I said, small world. You guys connected here offline for a minute, and that's pretty cool. So I think I'm glad you had a good experience. I know you have a little Innova anti-bias.
Yeah.
And so, but again, I think I do get it. I was a little reluctant to try a lot of these discs, even like the Thunderbird, which is a great disc for me. I love it now, but just I think I don't know, for whatever reason, us newer disc golfers, there's like some resistance to like old disc golf, and I don't know why. I don't know if that's just because we came in with like the Paul Macbeth era and like him being with Discraft, and we were cool. We do stuff differently. We're not old disc golf, so maybe it's that. But inherently, Teebird paved the way for a lot of great discs, so that's why I think it's important. And again, Instinct, Cookie, Evader, Athena. I mean, pick and choose. There's a ton of those type of discs, but I think it's going to be great for Bill and give him a lot of success in that maybe area where I think once he has that disc, he's going to realize how much he needed that disc or is missing that disc in his bag. So I feel very confident with that.
For sure.
Well, speaking of discs, we have a lot of discs sitting in front of me and you. I can see them out your window there. Jason, is in our break room right now, which is hilarious to me. Anyway, so we don't have a ton of new releases, right? Because it's just that time of year. We are getting up a lot of like stock. We have tons of like Innova stock going up. I just ordered some other things to fill in as well. Xander's actually in front of me right now doing some inventory, getting some other discs that are maybe like a few here and there that need to go up for different molds. So just always watch Recently Restocked because there's going to be a lot of random stuff popping up there for you. I think the big highlights for this weekend are going to be gift cards are going to be on sale from now until Christmas. Just if you need that last minute thing, stocking stuffer, whatever, just going to be available for you. We are going to have our jerseys and our Foundation Nation Comfort tees both on pretty extreme sale this weekend as well. So if you wanted to grab those or you didn't grab them Black Friday weekend, you're going to have another shot here. They are going pretty quickly, so make sure you snag those up. They're going to be a great deal. I think we had our Jayapalooza box go out. That was great. If you haven't signed up for our text deals, we had a crazy text deal this week. We had Zone GT Battle Packs this week. Random, crazy, right? We have some other pretty good text deals for the rest of the month. I mean, stuff I didn't think we're ever going to see again, to be honest with you. So make sure you sign up to that. If you haven't signed up for our subscription box, our Christmas one is going to be electric. I think they look great. You're not going to get one custom disc. You're getting two custom discs, stamp discs this month, and an exclusive stamp that's never been done before that the manufacturer let us do. And the swag item is pretty cool too. Let's just say it'll come in handy about this time of year. I'll just say that. So as always, Jason, thanks for filling in. Thanks for being a guest. And for those of you that are out there and you're shopping for discs, you're trying to get last minute thing, remember we're approaching those USPS and UPS deadlines for Christmas. So make sure you're paying attention to those. But when you get those discs in, you're opening your 12 Days of Discmas box, you're getting a disc under the tree, and it's good. Where do they keep it, Jason? All right, we'll see y'all next week.